What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is SlammerIV, and I am really excited to bring a cool little war game match to you. It's going to be Rynus in the bottom right versus EpicPants in the top left. I skipped the first beginning of the game because nothing much has happened. EpicPants has expanded with a fast expand with racks. He's already getting his third base, whereas Rynus is just going for a one workshop expand, and he's also going for a drop build. So he's got his advanced workshop and forge coming, and he's going to be going for drops. So economy wise, EpicPants is pretty far ahead. He's already ahead a couple workers because of his FE, his fast expand, and this third base is already about to be done. And there's no third base for Rynus for quite a while here. So definitely a nice advantage economy-wise for our meching player, or our Rax player, excuse me. However, Rynus will be going for these drops, so it's going to be up to him to kind of do damage with those drops, slowly expand to his third base as he does so with any spear units that he has. He's kind of poking around the map with two gats because he kind of knows it's a fast expand, so he's able to do this without any risk. You can see EpicPants is already preparing himself for drops. He's got a couple archers sprinkled around on the map. Meanwhile, I really like the way Rynus' build times out here. You can see the second kata is going to be right around the time that this pops out. The +1's a little bit early, but that's fine. It has to be that way. There's really no other. I think this is probably the fastest possible two-base drop build with a one workshop expand, as long as you're not doing some kind of dumb one-base meme or things like that. So, with that being said, we have our Advanced Workshop coming out from EpicPants. EpicPants is a player that really likes using drops in racks. With racks play, he often will drop raiders and things like that in all matchups. So he likes getting that out early. So here comes the drop from Rynus. Rynus is also loading two workers into that. But interesting to note, because that's what he's doing, he really only has 21 workers mining. So he's like almost half the economy right now. If we look at the income, it's pretty radically better for our red Rax player right now. So EpicPants is really powering his economy up hardcore mode compared to his opponent here. So really this drop is extremely consequential. It's going to be, really I would say he needs to get on the order of 4 workers killed with this drop and delay a bunch of mining time to make it at all a useful drop. So he's going to drop his workers back here to repair, and then he's going to bring in the airship. So this first hit is going to be pretty important. First rocks hit a archer. Good pull from EpicPants, doesn't take any damage. And then he has these archers already in position. So already a good early deflection from EpicPants, but the kind of the equity of this build is it takes a while for this build to fully come to fruition. And you kind of keep hitting and you keep poking and you keep forcing your opponent into possibly making a mistake. Kind of the scary thing about this build, I find, is I feel like you kind of are counting on your opponent to make a mistake, although it's really nice, and this is really interesting, a learning thing for me, actually. Don't put houses here, apparently. I didn't realize they were in range of catapults here. So in the future, I would say, as a Rax or Beast player, probably you never put houses or buildings here because they're in range of catapults. That's really interesting, and a nice double house snipe from Rynus, putting some good damage down. A couple archers have snuck their way out, which is good because they're going to catch these workers and force them to run away. Meanwhile, everything else is pretty standard back home. Rynus is just now getting his third base up and running. He did not get the damage that I think he really needed to get done with that push, so I would say advantage already towards our Raxing player here. But remember, Mech is a pretty slow-moving faction, and usually Mech is not too unhappy to take pretty slow bases and expand slowly. One thing Rynus does really have to do is fix his mining. His workers are not as efficient as they could be right now, a little bit too many on each mine and not enough at his third. So once he stops microing this drop, I think he'll probably fix that. And get back to good saturation. Yeah, he has one too many workers on each of his bases. Here comes another drop. No kills yet, but he is really forcing EpicPants to kind of micro around, and he is now denying mining time at this base, which is pretty nice to have. good control from Rynus, keeping these workers alive. And now, as he's microing at 2 places at once, these archers are actually getting killed. It's really tough to keep archers alive. Oh, Rynus is not paying attention. He's going to not lose the catapult. Good play from him there, barely saving it. And now this drop is still alive. But in general, it's pretty tough to micro these archers. They're getting 3-shot by catapults, and you really just have to avoid all of those rocks. Rynus is just going heavy on the drop play. Like, he's got catapults coming all across the map as he just expands to take his 3rd base. And he's just kind of chilling on his bases, getting that +2 attack. The other nice thing about the builder that we see from our blue mech player is that the upgrades, you gotta get started on those upgrades early, and you can really start getting a couple. Ooh, I really like this play from EpicPants. He's had enough of the dropships, and he's got a ballistay out to kind of push these guys away. It'd be really nice if Rynus had still had 1 drop in the bottom. Hitting here would be nice. I would say EpicPants need to get at least a house or something here to spot, so he doesn't get blindsided by some rocks coming in from that range. Meanwhile, EpicPants is chasing down these catapults. Rynus is going to go for a drop in the main, but I mean, there's archers and dropships already in position, and he just pulls his workers away. So I think Rynus has been held here. He's going to lose a couple archers here to this drop, and he's actually going to maybe queue down a house. Not sure exactly. We can see that Epic is really floating a lot here. There's really been taxing on his micro to keep all these positions in play, but he has secured a 4th base here, which is pretty nice. And his opponent really lost a lot there. He lost a couple dropships and a lot of catapults. I think 4 catapults went down there. So really good position for EpicPants at this point in the game. Ooh, huge rocks coming in though. That was, I think, five workers killed. So a big drop there, but it does get cleaned up without any other further losses. And EpicPants is still at a really healthy economy of 42. He's not stopped worker production throughout this, so even rocks like that, Rynus would need a couple more drops like that to even start making a dent in the economy of Epic. If you look at the supply, Epic has about a 30 supply lead actually. So I'm not sure if he wants to be pushing out still, but in any event, that's kind of what he's doing. He's losing some soldiers here, that's fine. It doesn't really matter. Rynus does have that +2, and he's not quite been able to afford +3. He's still just producing off this double workshop, which means his mech force, like, he has to be very careful with his mech force. If it gets cleaned up by a lot of racks forces, he could be in deep trouble. Epic only is on 3 racks with 2 more just finishing, so his production is not unbelievably good. It's possible that if Rynus pushes up here, he could kill this base. Epic really needs to saturate this top right base, I would say, to get into full advantage. We do have a drop coming in from Epic, but Rynus is pretty well bunkered up with 2 towers at each base, his main and natural, so a single drop is not really going to trouble Epic that much. These archers are kind of going to try to push in on the catapults, but there's a lot of catapults and gats here, so I think this is not going to be working out very well for Epic here. He's going to be pushed back from the center, and this is where it's pretty tough for the Rax player. He has to be very careful because this is a lot of catapults to be pushing into. He's kind of throwing a lot of resources down to the south with the drop, so he just needs to be very careful with how he plays from this point on, because he doesn't want to get his units at all caught out. Ooh, it looks like he might lose a catapult there. Nice little snipe from that. And then a couple units here might be denying these 3rd bases. But you notice that the Epic has stopped mining from his 4th, so he really hasn't been mining on a 4th base in a long time. And again, no tower at his 3rd. Looks like we have way too many workers at his 3rd. So this is, you kind of see the damage of drops are not always necessarily just in workers killed, but also in could also just be in just mixing up your opponent's mineral lines, forcing them to pull workers off the line, things like that. Really can be very strong. Okay, this is a really big drop because this mineral line is just huge and exposed, and the first rock goes straight into it. He's not microing the second rock. Looks like it's going to hit the archer. But if he gets one more hit there, oh, that's going to be huge. 6 workers in 1 hit. EpicPants is not paying attention. looks like another 3 go down. Huge hits from Rynus. EpicPants still has 45 workers, so he's pretty fine. Oh my goodness, where are the upgrades? Epic does not have any upgrades, man. That's a pretty major mistake. He should have at least 2 upgrades at this point to match what Rynus has. He's had the money advantage for so long. I'm really surprised he doesn't have that money yet. Nice play here. He's dropping his soldiers on top of the catapults of Rynus. There's a couple repairing units here, and there are just so many catapults. I think EpicPants is going to have to pull back here. I don't think he can take this fight. He is going to clean up a couple catapults on the top side, and a couple catapults are pretty low health. Man, he really could use some upgrades and maybe even some raiders or something here, because there's just so many catapults from Rynus. I'd be surprised. I also would like to see the bottom left taken from EpicPants. I think a mistake that he made was perhaps taking this base. I don't think it's even worth it. I would always start with my 4th bases here and here, because you imagine if he has a full mining base here, that really makes a big difference when dealing with this mech play that is slowly creeping towards his base. Again, taking 2 castles in the top right, bit of a mistake from EpicPants, because now both these castles can be killed by 1 push from the meching player, whereas if you had one of these castles down here, there's no way for Rynus to actually kill both castles at once. So somehow, some way, this game looked so good for EpicPants, but just some really persistent play from Rynus as far as dropping, and then just slow, steady macro behind has caused our mech player to be in a really good position. He's got +2 with +3 and +4 on the way, so these catapults are going to be murdering the Rax player in here in just a second. And he's got to this kind of critical mass of about 10 catapults, where it's very hard for Epic to drop this. Or to fight this. He needs to basically have like 3 drop strips to like drop on top to really do good execution. But unfortunately, just Epic doesn't have the units. He's adding on a little bit of raiders, which is nice. I really like the raider play to flash in and do damage. But he doesn't have his upgrades still, like no upgrades at all. So he's going to be so far behind his opponent here that I don't see a way for him to come back at this point. It looked really good for Epic. I thought he was actually winning just a couple minutes ago, but I think Rynus just played a better positional game and a better control game with his droppers. I think he just showed better APM in general to keep hitting the bottom, keep hitting the top. You know, even I really liked the ballistic play from EpicPants, but he just wasn't able to capitalize and actually shut down the drops to a good enough extent. Now, I will say Rynus has to be careful here that he did leave this top right base alive. Again, no bottom left, which is a problem for EpicPants, but Rynus is just kind of focusing on his drops at this point. I think it's really tough for Epic because really, in order to fight this kind of mech play on Sylvan, what you want to do is take the bottom left, take the top right, and then you want to counterattack the 4th base whenever his army is not here. And you need a lot of drops, and then you need... So basically, the idea behind Mech versus Rax is you can't fight the catapult army head-on unless you have a ton of droppers and a very good army, and a huge army, right? But if you're facing like a maxed out catapult, that's just not... You just can't fight that. It's just not good. So what you do is you have to counterattack, drop the back areas, things like that. But with the amount of towers that Rynus has now set up, that's pretty tough to do, unfortunately. And now he's going to lose his main, and I think this is pretty much GG. You can see that's what he's trying to do. He's realized that he can't fight that main army, and he's trying to go for the counter. But I think he's a little bit too far behind in upgrades. I mean, you'd really love your units to be like +3 to just beef down towers. But since these are 0/0 units without even Shroud to like block off the watchtower, it's pretty tough for the mech player. So just a really good all-around game from Rynus, I would say. Again, that first drop did not do damage. He was very behind economically, but the Rax player wasn't able to capitalize on that goal advantage that he had. Now he's pulling workers in, but like this is just going to be a slaughter. I mean, there's just so much. There's no chance here. There's too many catapults. They're at this critical mass point where you can't ever get into dead zones. There's always going to be rocks coming at you, and he's just going to erase every unit that's attacking here. Nice game. Have to hand it to Rynus there for playing a great match there. I think this is kind of just a textbook showcase for how to play mech on Sylvan Charm and on a lot of maps. It's just a simple drop play, slow macro, slow build up, continual production of catapults. Notice he didn't mix in almost any Gatlings. It's because catapults are just tougher, they hit harder, and once you're in a critical force mass like this, they can't be stopped. So he's not even messing with weak Gatlings. He's just spamming out tons of catapults, compounding his upgrade advantage, and then just slowly expanding across the map with liberal tower placement. You can see he's not skimping on towers. He's got 2 towers at each base, which makes it pretty tough to attack into. 2 to 3, when you have 3 towers at a base, like, and some catapults behind, that's really hard to push into. So just a really good game from Rynus. A couple missteps from EpicPants, and that's all it took to lose to the meching player. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. Hope you guys maybe learned something on how to play some textbook mech from Rynus here. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, give it a share. Yeah, and I'll catch you all later.